We might have just seen Daemon Targaryen drink Weirwood paste in House of the Dragon, and that's really interesting and we need to talk about it. For those of you who may not know, Weirwood paste is the potion that was given to Bran by the Children of the Forest and Bloodraven up in that cave in his most recent chapter of A Dance with Dragons. In Bran's case, he was told that it would help wed him to the trees, and then it caused him to have a bunch of trippy visions. In Daemon's case, he was told to drink this in order to, quote, win this place to his side. Now, Alice seems to be implying on a practical level, hey, Daemon, you need to win the Riverlands to your side. You're going to need to get some good sleep before you do that. But on a magical level, she had just been talking about how the magic of Harrenhal seems to come from all of the chopped down weirwood trees and all be connected to the creepy weirwood tree magic. So, by feeding him weirwood paste that can wed you to the trees, it could genuinely help, quote, win this place to your side, if what you mean by that is winning Harrenhal and the magic of Harrenhal over to your side. Especially if Harrenhal is, as it appears to be, just an angry weirwood tree wearing the ruins of an old castle as a disguise. Wedding yourself to the trees and winning Harrenhal over to your side don't seem to be that different of a thing magically. In either case, it just sounds like you're trying to get on the good side of these magical weirwood trees, and apparently you can do that by drinking some weirwood paste. Now, I'm not sure that it's the exact same mixture of the weirwood paste that you would get north of the wall with the Children of the Forest, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in detail here, but I just want to read what we're told about the weirwood paste directly and take a look at the visual of the potion that Alice Rivers is making. So here's how it goes when Bran is given his weirwood paste. The trees will teach him, said Leaf. She beckoned and another of the singers padded forward, the white-haired one that Mira had named Snowy Locks. She had a weirwood bowl in her hands, carved with a dozen faces like the ones the heart trees wore. Inside was a white paste, thick and heavy with dark red veins running through it. You must eat of this, said Leaf. She handed Bran a wooden spoon. The boy looked at the bowl uncertainly. What is it? A paste of weirwood seeds. Something about the look of it made Bran feel ill. The red veins were only weirwood sap, he supposed, but in the torchlight they looked remarkably like blood. He dipped the spoon into the paste, then hesitated. Will this make me a green seer? Your blood makes you a green seer, said Lord Brynden. This will help awaken your gifts, and wed you to the trees. So we're given a description that the paste is white and red and that the red bits look veiny and like blood. Now, Alice Rivers' potion that she's mixing up, we don't see any of the white mixed in there, but the little looks at the potion that we do get when she's mashing it up and mixing it, all of the parts we see look very red and veiny, and even look like they could be made of some bloody red seeds. I'll leave it up to you to decide how definitive you think this is, but I really think what we're supposed to take away here is visually, this is supposed to remind us of the paste that Bran eats, and I think that this is some version or another of a weirwood paste mixture. Now, we definitely have to get into that because many fans have speculated for a long time that a big part of the weirwood paste that Bran is fed is actually his best friend Jojen. This is called the Jojen paste theory and is one of the oldest and most popular theories amongst the fandom. Now, obviously, it's very unlikely that Alice Rivers has any extra bits of Jojen lying around Harrenhal to mix into this paste, and she may not even have another Crannogman that she can use as an acceptable substitute. So are we supposed to think that someone has been killed and mixed into this potion that Daemon is drinking? I actually think the implication from this scene is probably not. I wouldn't be shocked if we found that out in later episodes that she had been killing people and mixing them into her potions, but I don't think that's what's going on here. As she's licking what appears to be blood off of her fingers, and she has just finished mixing up the potion, she's explaining to Daemon how Harren the Black chopped down a ton of heart trees to build Harrenhal, and how those heart trees all contain the souls of people who died long ago. So, on a certain level, there are dead people inside of this potion, but I don't think anyone has been specifically killed to be made into the potion. If the potion itself, though, does come from weirwood sap or weirwood seeds, as the Children of the Forest say, well then that would probably contain on some level or another the souls of the dead people in the same way that the trees do. I've talked in the past on this channel about how eating weirwoods may possibly grant you magical powers, and there may be different levels to this. So I've talked about how Marwyn might be sitting there eating his weirwood leaves down at the Citadel, and how this might be sort of the equivalent of microdosing, whereas Bran up in the cave with the children of the forest eating a full helping of Weirwood paste is like the macro dosing. If the Jojen paste theory is correct and Bran is eating Weirwood paste along with a actual sacrifice of someone else who had magical abilities mixed in there, that is like the highest of high levels of Weirwood paste and gaining magical abilities. If Daemon is drinking a Weirwood paste that isn't involving like an actual magical sacrifice, it's just a Weirwood paste made of Weirwood sap and seeds and things like that, well then it would still potentially be giving him some magical powers, and on some level potentially connecting him to the trees, in the same way that maybe Marwyn eating his Weirwood leaves would, but not to the level of maybe Bran if he's eating Jojen and strapped up to a tree. So that's where I come down on this scene, essentially. I think that with the conversation they're having as she mixes up the potion, we are definitely meant to think that there is Weirwood sap or Weirwood on some level or another inside this potion. But I don't necessarily think it was the exact same thing that Bran had been eating up in the cave. What I think will be really interesting is going forward to see if this potion has any effects on the way that Harrenhal affects Daemon. Obviously, ever since he's gotten there, he has been having crazy dreams, and it's really tough to tell when he is awake and when he's dreaming, and there's just a lot of creepy things that are going on that seem to be trying to unsettle him. With the purpose of the paste in Bran's case being apparently to wed him to the trees, and with Alice Rivers suggesting that Damon is going to need to, quote, win this place to his side, well, potentially the potion that she just fed him could help him do that, and I'm going to be looking forward to seeing if any of the effects of Harrenhal on Damon change after he's drank the potion. Obviously, Damon is still in a pretty rough state immediately after drinking the potion when he sort of just wakes up the next day in the middle of a meeting. But I do sort of wonder if going forward with the influence of Alice Rivers, could he potentially be linked up to the trees in such a way magically where they torment him a little bit less? That would obviously only happen if Alice Rivers is indeed trying to help, though. It is also very possible that whatever potion she gives him could just make all of his dreams that much worse. We'll just have to wait for future episodes to find out. If you want a really interesting conversation about Alice Rivers and a bunch of somewhat related topics, I recently just did a live stream with David Lightbringer over on his channel. It will be one of the end cards here at the end of this video if you make it to the end, so definitely check that out if you want a lot more Alice Rivers talk. One of the things that was brought up in that discussion about Alice Rivers and came up again in the post-episode discussion on David's live stream after this episode was talking about the idea that Alice Rivers could potentially be preparing Daemon to be a Greenseer in the way that we see Bloodraven strapped up into the Weirwoods as a Greenseer in the main series. This is an idea that comes from the YouTuber Gray Area, who is another one that you should definitely check out if this is the type of thing that interests you. And that entire topic of whether or not Daemon could end up as a Greenseer is a whole different rabbit hole that we could go down for a long time, but that's not what this video is about. It's a really interesting idea. I'm not entirely sure if I'm convinced one way or the other, but I really do like that idea, and I think that what we've been shown here in this episode definitely gives a little bit of evidence towards that. Obviously, many things could go wrong, and just because she's feeding him the same potion that Bran is fed on his way to being a Green Seer doesn't mean that that's where it's going to end up, so I don't know that I'm fully convinced that Daemon will end up at any point being strapped up to the Weirwoods or having any sort of Green Seer powers in the way that Bloodraven does, just because Bloodraven has some more old godsy blood in his lineage than Daemon does, so maybe that could allow him to have more of a strong Weirwood connection, but we really don't know. A lot of that is all speculation, so I guess we're just going to have to wait and see where the series goes. But no matter where it's going, it is really interesting that Bran ate a very similar magical Weirwood paste in order to gain magical powers, wed himself to the trees, and potentially help him become a Greenseer. And Marwyn, who is a maester who has a lot of magical knowledge and seems like he is in search of magical secrets and would be the type of guy who wants to gain magical powers, maybe chewing on weirwood leaves or eating little bits of weirwood in secret, so another little hint that that could, even on a smaller level than what Bran's doing, impart some sort of magical powers onto someone. Whereas now Daemon is taking this to whatever ends Alice Rivers has in mind. He doesn't really seem to know what he's even drinking, but apparently he listens and takes his potion. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you all have to say about all of this down in the comments. Do you think that this is straight up Weirwood paste that Alice Rivers has fed Daemon? Do you think that it's some sort of other mixture? What sort of like little things do you notice about it that could be helpful in solving what exactly is going on here? I'm sure there are little details and things like that about the scene that I have missed. I've only rewatched it a couple times in preparation for making this video. Obviously, the episode just came out, so this is just sort of a quick reaction, and I'm sure there will be plenty more to talk about, especially if Daemon does end up gaining any level of magical power or any difference in his dreams from this Weirwood paste. So definitely let me know what you think of all of that, your thoughts on all of the Weirwood magic we've seen so far in this season, and where you think maybe it could be going. Also, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you've made it this far and this is the type of thing that you're interested in. There are plenty more videos that are going to be coming, including one that I'm going to have to go work on right after I finish this one. So we're going to wrap up the quick reaction to Daemon drinking Weirwood paste here right now, and as I said, I look forward to all of your thoughts on that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with something else very soon.